Actually, I am going 6-0 in the division because the rest of the division sucks.
It sucks.
Best division in football, Tori.
Take that step back. We are seeing the true quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the Man Now, where we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we here for you and we reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country, we the fan favorites. Crank the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We crossing topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours and we back again. Breaking news, new scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the courts, we report it all. Buzzer beaters through your speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories cause we love the turf. Tell a friend to tune in and where you heard it first. Yeah, you're listening to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them stats. Hey, you listen to the Man Now. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them facts. Hey, you listen to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them stats. Cause you listen to the Man Hour.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckeister here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page, and of course, check out the blog section as well. We are going to cut the show a little short tonight. We're going to do an hour-long show tonight, but we do have the man, the myth, the legend himself at TWW, Mr. Wyatt Williams on the old Twitter machine. Wyatt, what is going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Just having a blast. Glad to be on here with you.
Yeah, but you know what? Why I don't think you and me have ever done just a pair show. Have we ever done just a show just you and me?
I think before Tori hopped on board, we did one.
Okay, so
where it was just us.
Okay, so we're still a little wet behind the ears of like how this marriage is going to happen. But I did got my wedding ring on here. Like, do people that wear like wedding rings, do their fingers like ever swell and it just like starts hurting? Like for instance, my finger is just like killing me right now. I feel like I'm getting fat, but I don't know. My dad has like this thing where he refuses to take it off no matter what. Really?
He's had it on, and my mom and dad have been married for, I believe, 28 years now. So he's had the same ring on the same finger for 28 years. And like if he takes it off, there is a distinct like line around his finger. You can see where the ring has been for years. Like the skin is a different color and everything. It's just It's weird looking.
Yeah, I've had mine for four years, and you can see where my mind's at. It definitely and like I take mine off to do some housework and stuff because I don't want to get all like nasty and whatnot. But yeah, so I don't wear mine like all the time, and sometimes I forget it, and like Cindy gets really really pissed off. She's like, I can't believe you're not wearing your ring today. I'm like, well, sorry, babe. I just forgot. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to act like I'm single. Like, I'm sorry. Like, usually people that want guys want married guys because they know they can just hit it and quit it, right? But happy belated birthday to America. What'd you do on 4th of July, buddy? This is July 5th now. I mean, so we're well into the next year.
I just you're gonna call me lame on this one because I am. I just kind of hung around the house all day, watched some fireworks at night. Yeah. I didn't do anything too crazy. I'm pretty lame.
You want no lame?
I was pretty lame. What?
We were in bed by 8:30 last night. Not even kidding.
My youth pastor put something on his Facebook, and it said, "I know I'm getting old because it's 9:34 and I'm pissed about the fireworks still going off." Yeah,
Cindy didn't get home till what, like 10:30 last night, and she's like driving home. I was kind of distracted because there's fireworks going on like everywhere, and she's like, I kind of felt like I was in a twilight zone. But as soon as I got home, I was like, shut these effing things off. So yeah, we're getting up there too. So fun fact, my boys have never seen a fireworks show. How crazy is that?
Really? That's wild. Yeah. You got to take them to Thunder then.
Yeah, well, because when River was 1, I was working overnight still. So I was working July 4th overnight. So we didn't go fireworks like at all. Last year was the whole COVID thing, right?
Yeah.
And this year Cindy was at work till 10:30 at night. So we've never done fireworks or seen fireworks. How crazy is that?
That's wild. You got to take off next year then.
Yeah, we're actually planning to go back to Kansas because Kansas has the best fireworks show, hands down.
I bet it does because it's flat out there. Yep. And like you can see for miles, where here it's real hilly and stuff. So, hills and buildings and stuff will block it. But I bet out there where it's flat and all farmland and stuff, I bet it's beautiful.
Well, we do have cities too over there, and like in
Well,
Kansas.
of
Like,
course.
it is just not all flat. I mean, we do have some buildings. I mean, they're not like 15 stories, but hey, we get some 3-story buildings, man. You better watch out.
Yeah, they're going crazy out there with their 2-story, 3-story buildings.
Right. There are fun fact. There is a house in middle of BFE, Kansas. It is owned by the Nelson Ranch. It is the biggest square footage place in like 500 square miles. So, and it's a residential house. So that's kind of a fun fact for you here. But speaking of fun facts here, Mr. D. Wyatt Williams, Joey Chestnut, hot dog eating champion himself.
The GOAT.
Is he the greatest professional athlete ever? Well, he has 17 straight titles. He has more combined titles than what was it? Michael Jordan and Tom Brady put together.
Yep.
Is he the greatest?
He has to be. He has more titles in his respected event than any other athlete ever. And I think Michael Phelps might have more. Does he?
I didn't see his name on there. The next person that I saw on there was Roger Federer. Was that 15? I think it was.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll have to look that up, but I want to know how many gold medals does
do you consider a gold medal a championship though? I mean, because yeah, you are competing against the best of the best, but like there are a lot more competitions throughout the season for swimming than there is like hot dog eating contest. It's like once a year, right? This is one championship once a year. Michael Phelps, he like for the Olympics, he won like 9 that particular year. So he won
dear God, he has 23 golden medals. Okay.
Yeah, but that's also winning like one in like not 1 year, right? So that kind of
win multiple per year, depending on the event. So
that kind of cancels him out. Like now, let's say he had 18 gold medals at the Olympics or whatever, like event, once a year for like the 50-meter freestyle that he swims or whatever. I mean, like then you could put them in the same conversation. But right now, Joey Chestnut, man, he is heads and feet above everybody, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. That what is 17 years in a row, right?
Something like that. What? It's nuts. It's nuts.
Why 80 hot dogs in like 10 minutes, man?
That should not be real. I just want to know what we need to find some way of all the stuff we can do scientifically where we can, see a baby in a mom's stomach and we can, channel brain activity. We can see what the brain does when you think. How come we've never strapped something to Joey Chestnut's stomach and seen what his stomach looks like?
I don't think we want to see it. I don't think we want to see it. Oh man. Like, because a stomach is like the size of like a grapefruit or something, right? It's like, it actually isn't that big.
It's like this big, isn't it?
Yeah. And then then it expands, right?
Yeah.
Think about this, just because like when you're full, like your stomach is still, I think it's only like 3/4 full. Like there's some type of trigger in your body saying, hey, my stomach's full, but you still have room to like eat. So Joey Chestnut has to be like, basically like fighting that urge. Like, I'm full. Like, no, you're not. We got 80 more hot dogs to fit in there. Like, it is just, it's absolutely.
How do you do? When I get full, I can't eat anymore. I feel miserable. Like I'm just like, oh God.
I mean, go ahead.
I can't even like sit up forward because it hurts my stomach. Like, you got to like lean it back like this and just give the stomach room to do its thing. Like I don't know how he does this. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you just said there. Like I was at Ellen Paul just the other night, and like you were there, and right after you left, I unbuttoned the old pants and laid back the seat, man. Man, I was miserable. Like I just had like rice and chips and like some shrimp, and I was like, man, I was miserable. I'm like, what in the world is doing with my life? But then I'll go back and do it again like the next weekend, But
well, El Nepal is delicious, so I completely get it.
You know what? I think El Nepal is overrated, man.
What?
Yeah.
What's your Mexican restaurant then in this area?
Oh well, then. In this area, I haven't found one that I absolutely love yet. But back home, there's a place called El Cazadores, which I freaking loved El Cazadores. I haven't found any of those around here. I think they're actually shut down because they all got deported back to Mexico. But Tumbleweeds, I don't like. People always say
I'm not a big fan of tumbleweed either.
Tumbleweeds Mexican's so great. Like I'd rather go there and have a freaking hamburger. Honestly,
Right.
But but by default, I mean it has to be El Nopal because I can't think of any other Mexican place around here.
Have you tried I think it's called Israelis or something in New Albany? It's in downtown New Albany, something like that. It's really good. You should go try that one.
There is that cantina place over here in the Bird.
Yeah, La Katrina or whatever.
Yeah, we might try that. I mean, just
have you not tried that one yet?
No, we haven't.
Oh man, it's good. It's good. You'll like that one too. They got there's like an all-you-can-eat taco night or something like that. You pay I think it's like $10 and you get all-you-can-eat tacos with all night.
You had me at all-you-can-eat. I mean, why? Dinner's on me next Tuesday night, man. You and me, all-you-can-eat tacos.
Nice. On Taco Tuesday, we'll knock them down.
Taco Tuesday. All right, guys. So we do have some sports talk here lined up for you guys as well. We're going to give Mr. Wyatt Williams, man-hour _ TWW, I should say. We are going to talk a little bit about his NFL preseason rankings. So these are power rankings that, Wyatt will be adjusting throughout the season and keeping up with them. But these are the way too early preseason power rankings. We also going to talk some NBA rumors as well. And then we're going to wrap up the show with some shop talk. So we do have some sports talk coming for you here. But Wyatt, before we go to our first break here, tell the people a little bit about your fantasy football show that you and Tori are doing here.
Absolutely. So once a week for $2.99 per month, we will give you all, and I do mean all, of the information you will need to win your fantasy football league. We just did our top 5 flexes heading into this season. Coming up, we've got a ton of more stuff we're going to give you before we get to the draft, even as we get into the draft, excuse me, and even after the draft with waiver wire picks, with in-season adjustments, start sit cuts, everything that you are going to need to win your league.
All right, guys. So you can become a member here at youtube.com/manhour by simply clicking on the join tab, and there'll be 4 options for you. There'll be 99¢, $2.99, $5.99, and $9.99. $2.99 is and up is where you can get all that, extra access to the fantasy football stuff there. So if you guys want to check out the preview, head over to the Man Hour page, youtube.com/manhour, and it is the first video up there on the home page. So guys, we'll be right back, and after the break we're going to talk Denver Broncos buy sell sleeper picks. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyes along with the Wyatt Williams and I at manhour_TWW. You can hit up Wyatt on the old Twitter machine for all your fantasy football needs. If you have any questions, any type of league that you're in, they will offer you as advice, and they will answer your questions all in the YouTube page here as well. So as little as $2.99 a month, guys, you can become a member and get all access to that. And of course, on the old Twitter machine, I believe you guys are answering the questions there for free, right, Wyatt?
Yes, sir.
So as long as you tweet at them, they will answer the question the best they can. And quite frankly, guys, Tori and Wyatt probably put in the most work that I've seen with any fantasy guys like out there. So they are, working together to give you guys a great product and great advice. So just hit them up.
My girlfriend hates when I play fantasy football. That's all I talk about.
Yeah, fantasy football is honestly, if the NFL wasn't so popular, the fantasy football might take over NFL. Actually, it might be taking over the NFL right now, to be honest with you.
It very well might. I mean, everybody I know is really either in a league or they're close with someone who's in a league, or they, are commissioner of a league. In some way, they're involved with fantasy football.
Yeah, so
it's huge.
Honestly, Cindy is a reigning champ here in the Buckheister household. 4 years running, she has won the family title. So give it out to her. Big props. So she might need to be on the old podcast and let you guys some fantasy advice. Ooh, I like those colors of that. Oh, that guy's name looks cool. I'm gonna pick him. No, I'm totally kidding. But speaking of not kidding and cool colors here, the Denver Broncos, Wyatt, they are kind of an up and down team, and we don't really know what they're going to be this season. To be honest, I think they are kind of like the Vegas Raiders, are going to be really, really good or really, really bad. But I want you to give me a player this year that you are 100% buying for the Denver Broncos this season.
Well, this was a tough one for me. It was between two players, one of which I'm going to use as my sleeper in a minute. But my buy player as of right now for the Denver Broncos is absolutely going to be Noah Fant, tight end for them. He had a great season last year. I shouldn't say great. He had a good season last year. I'm reeling in those greats. All right. I know I say it. I'm reeling it in. But anyways, no, he had a good season last year. He showed some promise. Really fast and athletic tight end. That's the biggest thing that I like about him. He can catch very well. He runs routes pretty good, but he is fast, and I mean lightning fast. You can line him up on the outside. You can line him up next to the tackles. He's just a really good weapon for this Denver Bronco offense. So really excited to see what year 2 brings for him. He's a big athlete, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him. So my buy player is Noah Fant.
Yeah, so the only reason why I rolled my eyes like at that pick was because there was a certain fantasy person that we had on the show quite frequently last year to give us some fantasy advice, and he's like, you need to pick up this Fant guy, pick him up. He is going to do great things. So I pick him up, and he scores me 2 points like a week. Absolutely horrible in the fantasy game. So, but obviously this is not fantasy. Isn't real life. That's why it's called fantasy. I do think Teddy Bridgewater is going to fall in love with this tight end that he has, and I could definitely see him having upward trajectory this season, especially since with all the other weapons that they have around them. Because if you look at the Denver Broncos receiving core, yeah, they're young, but I think with the right quarterback, they can do good things. So that's why this year, Wyatt, I am buying Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starter for Denver Broncos, and I think he is going to exploit, the weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs defense this year, and the defense in the West as a whole. And I think Teddy Bridgewater has a outstanding year this year. Any thoughts on that before we head on?
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think that Drew Lock is one of those guys who will be on the trade block. I think he's probably traded at the trade deadline, most likely to a team that is, needing a backup quarterback. So I absolutely think that Teddy takes over the job. I think this is the first time Teddy will actually get a really fair shake at a starting position. But
is he slated to be starter right now, or is it Drew Lock?
No, I was checking out the depth chart earlier. It's funny you mentioned that. Drew Lock is right now listed as the starter for them on their depth chart. He is. Now, I don't.
How long do you think that is before that gets adjusted? Week 2 in preseason?
Training camp.
Training camp.
I don't even think he makes it to preseason week 1. Drew Lock is a guy that I liked a lot coming into last year, but that kind of blew up in my face as we all found out. So yeah, I still think he has some upside. I think that he could go somewhere and do some good stuff, but I don't think Denver was really a good fit for him. So it hasn't really worked out since. And here's the deal: if he was going to be the guy, they would have never traded for Teddy.
Well, I mean, you can always use that solid backup quarterback, right? And like right now, we saw last year, the Denver Broncos were down with their 7th string quarterback or something ridiculous like this past
a wide receiver
year.
Playing quarterback.
Yeah, it was like 7th string wide receiver, practice squad receiver, if I'm not mistaken. So do you think maybe Drew Lock just hasn't got a fair shake, and maybe he just needs like a full training camp and a full season like under his belt to really show who he is? Or do you think he gets traded or cut by the first of the season and Teddy Bridgewater does take over?
I don't think he'll get cut. I do think there's a trade involved. And no, I think he's got a decently fair shake. I think really it just hasn't been a good fit. I think that there were other quarterbacks in his draft class. He was projected to be a first round pick. His draft year ended up falling down to the 2nd round where Denver got him. That's why I really liked him a lot, because I thought he was a steal at where they had got him. But it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out ever since they got him. So like I said, I don't necessarily think he didn't get a fair shake. I think that definitely certain things could have been better in his situation. But, because a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I'm not a big Courtland Sutton fan. So really? I've always kind of felt like he had a pretty weak wide receiver core, and he never got to really benefit like other quarterbacks did that were drafted his year, jumping into a good system. So I think that's kind of the thing. And also, not very many young quarterbacks tend to succeed in Denver. Really, every succeeding quarterback in Denver has been an older guy. I mean, like John Elway kind of really picked up as he got older, as he matured. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl when he was at the very end of his career. So rookie quarterbacks normally don't come in and just be real flashy in Denver.
Well,
so I don't
think
know
it's because they have a team built there. Like, like the Denver Broncos have a good, solid team built. Like, they don't have that number 1 receiver. They don't have that, even the number 2 receiver per se. Even if you flash back to like the 97, 98 years in Denver, their receiver cores consisted of 7th round picks and people that have been cut. Shannon Sharp was a 7th round pick. Ed McCaffrey was cut by the Patriots, I do believe. And so they, like, the Denver Broncos have always kind of had that motto of like, we aren't going to be flashy or great, but we're going to be a nice, solid team. And I think that's why the older quarterbacks succeed in Denver, is because they have a solid team that you can build around, and you are there to grind it out games 12-9, 9-6 type of scores. You aren't going to be 54.
Hard to win in Denver too.
Yeah, exactly. It is definitely very, very hard to win in Denver. So on every side of the buy, Wyatt, there's a sell. Give me a player that you are selling this year.
Yeah, so my sell player is going to be Melvin Gordon. And a lot of people are looking for him to kind of have a little bit of an upswing and get back to form here, like how we saw him with the Chargers. But his entire NFL career, he's been in a 2 running back system. And, we saw it out there in LA. He had Eckler out there with him. Now, once he got to Denver, he had Philip Lindsay. And now I don't think it's a 2 running back system. I think it's a 1 running back system. I think that system revolves around Javonte Williams, the rookie that they just brought in. I think that Royce Freeman, Javonte Williams is going to be everything that Royce Freeman should have been. There were a lot of high hopes for Royce with the Denver Broncos once they first brought him in. I think they were expecting a huge season out of him, and then Philip Lindsay ended up coming out of nowhere as an undrafted rookie. So he got brought in his rookie year as an undrafted rookie, ended up going on to the Pro Bowls. He had a good season. That kind of towered over him. Then they brought in Melvin. That just put Royce down more. He's kind of disappeared now, but I think that this is Javonte Williams' system. I think he's a really good running back. I loved watching him play in college, and I think he makes a pretty smooth transition. I think he fits the system there. They've got a decent O-line in front of him, so it will at least be, it won't be too bad. And also, the biggest thing he's got going for him is what we mentioned a minute ago, is that it's hard to play in Denver, and these guys are all used to it because they practice and play and live in the Denver atmosphere every single day. So with that being said, I think this is Javonte Williams' year. So I think Melvin Gordon is my sell player. I don't think that he kind of bounces back. I think he gets on the road after this year.
Yeah, so that's actually a great pick, and I think you're going to upset a lot of Denver fans by saying that. But I'm going to upset Denver fans by even more by saying this. But I think Von Miller is going to be my sell player this year, coming off the injury that he suffered last year, and the last couple of years in Denver. I just haven't seen the same heart in Von Miller that we've once seen. When they were winning the Super Bowl, or he played for the Cowboys, right? Was it the Cowboys that he played for before he?
No, that was DeMarcus that came from the Cowboys.
Okay.
Von's always been in Denver.
Oh, okay. I digress on that. But like early in Von Miller's career, you saw him play with some just passion. Like I'm going to go get the ball, whatever it takes. The last couple years, I guess last year he had that season-ending injury, week 1, I think it was, maybe week 2. But
it was early, yeah.
You just didn't see that passion from him. And usually when you don't see that passion, that's one, how you get hurt because you aren't giving a 100% effort. And 2, usually your body doesn't give out before your mind does. So Von Miller will have the physically.
Buck Bub, I think your mic is muted, man.
Yeah. So for some reason, my docking station is acting weird. Do I still sound decent? Is it?
It's to your weird sound, Mike.
Go. So
there you go. You're back.
With that being said, Von Miller is going to have a down year because I don't think his mind is mentally there to prep for the NFL season. Having the COVID-ridden injury season last year, I don't even know how his health is because you couldn't get the treatment that you needed to last year because you could only be in the locker room an hour before the game times or something like that, and you could only spend X amount of time in the locker rooms to get treatment and all that stuff. So we don't even know how he is. People say he's 100% and he looks good on the field, but as we know, you don't look good until you get hit. Then tell me how you feel, right? So Von Miller is going to be my sell player this year. So give me your sleeper. Who is going to come out of nowhere and have a great season in your eyes?
Well, this was the tough one because it was between this guy and Noah Fant, but I chose Noah to be my buy player. My sleeper is going to be Bradley Chubb. And the reason why is because he's a good defensive end. He's shown some upside, but hasn't really had that pop year. You know what I mean? Hasn't really had that bang year where everybody really knows who he is. So he's a guy that, you've heard of him, but you don't really know who he is. A lot of people don't know if he plays defensive end or outside linebacker. Frankly, I don't either because they switch him so much back and forth.
Right.
So, no, he's a great edge rusher, whether if he is at the end position or the outside linebacker position. He does a lot of great things, and I think that he's got a lot of upside to him, and I'm very excited to see what he's able to do in Denver this year. I think this is really the big pop year for him, where he becomes not just a big name, but I think a household name. I'm expecting a really big, possibly even defensive player of the year caliber season. I'll go ahead and go that far with it.
Okay.
Thinking possibly even that far with how great his season's going to be this year.
Okay, so you're giving me a defensive player. I'm going to give you guys an offensive player. I am buying Teddy Bridgewater is going to have a great year. So with that being said, I think the receivers are going to have a great year as well. So I've been tossing it up between the tight end, Noah Fant, and Jerry Jeudy but Jerry Jeudy, I kind of felt like he had a decent season last year, so I'm not for sure how under the radar he will be. But my sleeper is going to be Noah Fant because I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to do a lot of checkdowns this year when he becomes starter. Yes, I know Drew Lock is starting right now, but I think Noah Fant is going to get a lot of checkdowns, and it would not surprise me if he gets 10 to 12 targets a game. So fantasy, definitely pick him up. Obviously not in the first couple rounds because he is not going to be no George Kittle or Travis Kelce or anything just like that. But he will be a good, solid check down for Teddy Bridgewater this season, and that's why he will be my sleeper this year. Why? Anything to add to that?
No, I think if you mentioned in the wide receiver core, another guy that I think is a sleeper caliber option, Tim Patrick, the current wide receiver two for him. He had a couple of games last year where he looked really good because man, Denver really struggled with the COVID bus. They were struggling.
I think
Everybody
they got
was out.
screwed, honestly.
I'm sure there was something weird going on there. But anyways, Tim Patrick had a couple of games last year where he was really kind of popping off and showing who he was and how good of a receiver that he could be. So I think that was another guy that I was really crunching down on, trying to figure out if I should put him as my sleeper. So there's a lot of upside to the receiving core from the tight end to the wide receiver spot for this Denver team. And I think, like I said, you mentioned I mentioned Courtland Sutton earlier. They got Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. So, a decent core here.
Yeah. So when I said Denver got screwed last year, you kind of just snubbed your nose at it like a tad bit. And I think they 100% got screwed last year because let's be honest, let's say, when the Ravens got bit by that COVID bug, they pushed the game back because they wanted Lamar Jackson in there, right? Like I believe he played on a Wednesday night or something, or no, it was a Wednesday afternoon, right? When the Ravens ended up playing was it the Steelers? I think they played when
I think it was the Titans, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was. But if the Broncos would have had a big name quarterback, they probably would have. Because I truly think if the Broncos, because I believe they played the Steelers that week that they had to use the 7th-string receiver to play quarterback for them, they almost beat the Steelers that week. And if they would have beat the Steelers, I had them kind of in playoff contention because if you beat a undefeated Steelers team, that's going to raise your confidence, and they could have easily rattled off 3 or 4 wins, and they would have been in a playoff competition. So the NFL definitely screwed the Denver Broncos last year. So there is no question.
I see where you're coming from.
What's that?
I said I definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So, all right, Wyatt. So let's talk a little NBA rumors here. So you texted us earlier today that there were a few rumors floating around, and let's start with the Dame rumor first. So what are you hearing about Dame Lillard?
Well, first off, I was looking around, already interested in the fact that the Lakers have dropped subtle hints here and there about possibly bringing in a big name and to pair with LeBron and AD. So a lot of people haven't really liked Dennis Schroeder for the time that he's been there. So I had a feeling he was kind of on his way out because he wants big money. And Schroeder's a good player, but he's not worth the big money that he's wanting.
Right.
So I've always kind of had a weird thing with the fact that Damian Lillard has always liked the Lakers. And, that would be a great fit. LeBron and Dame would be crazy. So a couple of days ago, Dame was actually spotted at a WNBA game with LeBron. And they were sitting together watching the game in LA. I thought it was ironic. I thought it was weird. So, and then the rumors start circulating, of course, of 2 teams now, and it is the Warriors and the Lakers. So if Damian Lillard were to leave Portland, the 2 top teams right now in the rumor mill are the Lakers, of course, and the Warriors, which I cannot even imagine. I am praying that he will not join the Splash Brothers as a LeBron fan. But as a basketball fan, I would love to see it. Can you imagine on the court Steph, Dame, and Clay, the 3 best 3-point shooters in the league right now, all top 5 shooters all time? Incredible. That would be insane. I don't even want to know how many threes they would hit in a season. Literally last year, it was between Dame and Steph as to who hit more threes from where around the arc, because the NBA released all their stats as to who hit what threes where, and it was between Steph and Dame. From in the corners, it was of course somebody different. In the corners, I think it was Danny Green hit the most, but from everywhere else, from 3-point, it was between Dame and Steph. And I cannot even imagine if they were together. And then you wait for Klay Thompson to get healthy, toss him into the mix. Wild. I mean, that would just be insane. I don't even want to know how many points they would put up every night. It would be like they would average like 160 points a game because 90% of their points would come from the 3.
Well, not to throw a monkey wrench in your theory there, but Steph Curry has been rumored of going to LA next year because I believe he is a free agent this offseason, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or maybe he has that opt-in year or something to that effect.
Something weird with his contract, yeah.
But either way, what do you think makes a better team, Steph Curry in LA or Dame in LA?
Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry, because in my opinion, and I'm going to upset a lot of people here when I say this, I think Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. I think
Okay.
he's the most game-changing player possibly of all time. He legitimately formed the entire league around him. Teams were trying to mock what he was doing. Teams in the West were trying to mock defensive strategies to stop them. I mean, the entire West 2-3 years ago was literally like 4 or 5 teams that were good, and they were all either the Warriors or built to beat the Warriors. And
Right.
nobody could do it because Steph Curry was just on another level. I mean, he is the greatest shooter of all time. And like I said, in my opinion, I think he's the greatest point guard of all time. So, and I think right now he's the greatest point guard in the league. So I think that him and LeBron have already had a good chemistry,
Right.
going back. They had a little issue in the 2016 finals, but that brushed right over. And then we all saw him playing in the All-Star game this last year. And LeBron literally tweeted after the game and was like, I've never got to play on the court. I've never played on the same team as him on the court. And he said it was like the most fun experience he's ever had because it would be fun to play with Steph. Steph is the ultimate player's player. I mean, you would love to play with him. And same with LeBron too. LeBron is a really good passer. Steph is a good passer as well as a good shooter. I think it would fit perfectly, honestly. So I wouldn't be surprised if this Dame thing doesn't work out, if Stephen Curry does end up joining LeBron at some point later on down the road.
So it's funny that you bring up that LeBron James is a great passer, especially with 30 seconds left in the game. He definitely is a very good passer, right? To Steph to hit that final shot. But Drew comes in the comments here and says Dame at Lakers wouldn't work. Dame has a bigger ego than LeBron. This isn't going to happen. What do you think about that? Do you think Dame's ego would overshadow the LeBron James thing, and LeBron James would kind of have like, hey, I'm the GOAT?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Drew there. I've kind of had worries about that too, that the ego is definitely there. But at the same time, everybody loves playing with LeBron. I mean, it would be crazy to get to play with him. So I'm sure they would figure out some way to work it. But another reason why I don't think that it would fit out in Oakland, and this is kind of the big one here for me, is when you trade a player, and this goes for all sports, all teams, when you trade a player, you typically don't send them somewhere where they can beat you. You know what I mean? You don't send them somewhere where they'll just slather you up, right? And if Portland were to send him to, if they were to send him to the Warriors, Steph Curry and Dame would just annihilate him. Like, it just wouldn't be fair. So that's why I don't think that trade will work. But at the same time, I think that the Lakers would be kind of a similar situation. But I do see where you're coming from there, Drew, that the ego is there. So I don't know. I think that'd be an interesting thing. I'd have to see how it worked on the court because I haven't really seen them play together. I mean, I've seen them in some All-Star games and stuff, but I haven't really seen them on the court in a real game. So I'm not sure how that would work.
Well,
Yeah,
winning
it would be fun,
cures
though.
all. So if you are winning on the court, it doesn't matter how big your ego is. I mean, you will check that off to the side. But then, once the grind of the season happens and you lose 3, 4, 5 games in a row, then you could possibly start seeing the ego come out. But then I think that is when the veteranism of LeBron James, even if that's a word, it's veteranism of like a word, but the veteran presence of LeBron James will be like, hey, man, this is just a stretch. We'll be fine. And I feel like LeBron James would figure out a way to work Dame into the offense to where his ego will get stroked enough just to be happy.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And like I said, LeBron is a really good. He's known all time for his passing. He's a really good passer. He likes to set guys up, and I think that if they could figure out a way to set up Dame, and make the offense not selfish or anything, then I think I do think it would work.
Okay, so there was another rumor that you have been following here as well. What's that next rumor up?
Yes, and it is about Kawhi Leonard, because there's something with the money-wise, and I need to do a little more research on this before I speak too much on it. But if he stays in LA, he will lose a lot of millions of dollars. Like I think somewhere around $10 to $15 million if he stays. Something weird with his contract. And we've all kind of seen that he hasn't been really happy. So there's been a lot of rumors of him going to Dallas, and there's been a lot of rumors of him going to Miami. Now, to kind of break that down for a second, we'll start with Dallas. I think Dallas, in my opinion, is the best fit for Kawhi of anywhere in the league. And the reason why is because Kawhi is not a loud person at all. Like we just talked about the ego of Dame and all that stuff. This guy is the most silent, weird. I don't want to say weird, but I do want to say weird at the same time. He's just different. He's just an odd guy. And, like he was making $95 million with the Spurs just a few years ago and driving a vehicle with like 200,000 miles on it. And somebody asked him, why are you driving that car? And he said, because it's paid off. Like he just doesn't act like every other NBA star in that sense. He doesn't really like being in the limelight. So if he goes to Dallas, Luka Doncic is already in the limelight. I mean, everybody loves him. The media swarms him 24/7. I mean, they literally covered his Slovenia versus, I don't even remember what game.
Was it Peru?
Excuse me, a couple nights ago. So that whenever they made the Olympics, and I think Slovenia's actually got a pretty good shot at possibly winning it.
Right.
So, and I think it's interesting to see what would happen there with Dallas, because he gets to he doesn't have to be in the limelight. He can sit behind Luka. He can let Luka take all the limelight. And also, he's got a really loud owner in Mark Cuban. And not taking away anything from Mark Cuban, because I think Mark Cuban is the best owner in the NBA. But Mark also draws attention. So Kawhi can sit behind the limelight of Luka and Mark Cuban. They can draw all the attention. He can sit there and play with Luka Doncic. Like Drew just said here on the comments. Right. Can you imagine Kawhi Leonard and Luka Doncic playing together on the same team? That would be nuts. I mean, just incredible. I would love to see it. But
so hang on before you finish your thought here. I want to poke some holes in your argument there. You just said that, he is set to lose $10 to $15 million, but then you said he doesn't really care about the money because he was driving a old broke down 02 Pontiac.
No, I'm saying he does care about the money.
Oh, so he does care about the money.
He's very financially responsible. He cares a lot about his money. Like I said, he was making $94 million a year. He was driving an SUV with like 200,000 miles on it. The SUV was like 20 years old. And like I said, when people asked him, like, why are you driving that? His answer was, it's paid off, because he's a big guy on money. So I think that's another reason why it would fall in line for him to leave LA. And so I just explained what the Dallas situation, but now with Miami
and Texas has no taxes, so you actually make more money.
Yep.
So in the
no income tax too, so you get all that money that you're paid. If your contract says $140 million, you get $140 million. There's no income tax.
Right.
So then now to look at Miami, that would be crazy too, because they would have Jimmy Butler, which he's already the star power for that team. He would have Bam Adebayo, the defensive specialist. Mix that with Kawhi, we'd have an incredible defensive team, but a team that could also score very well. And he can hide behind the limelight of Tyler Hero, who draws all of it. And you've also got Duncan Robinson, who's a great shooter on that team as well. So I think that the Heat would be an awesome fit as well. I think honestly, either of them would work out really well for Kawhi. So they're both very exciting rumors, and I'm hoping that they're true, because that would mix up the league, and it would be crazy to watch it happen. I just want to know what Paul George is going to do if Kawhi leaves, because Paul George doesn't like being the only star in a town. We kind of saw that with Indiana. He left Indiana, went and joined Westbrook in Oklahoma. Then once that kind of fell apart, he went and ditched, and he joined Kawhi in the middle of the night. That was a crazy day. He joined Kawhi in the middle of the night out in LA via a trade, which was, like I said, nuts. And just two weeks before that, he was seen at a Oklahoma City nightclub, and he had a microphone. He got up on stage and was like, just so everybody knows, I'm staying, I'm not leaving, something like that. And then 2 weeks later, he asked for a trade. So Paul George is an odd character, but he's a good basketball player, so it makes up for it. But I'm interested to see where Paul George goes if Kawhi does leave.
I'm happy.
Buck, we lost you again, bub.
Yeah, I'm having some mic issues right here. So let's go ahead and take a quick little break here. And then on the other side of the break, guys, we're going to open it up to some shop talk. So if you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat, and we will discuss it. So we'll be right back right after this.
What is your name?
What?
What is your name?
Buck.
Where did you get that shirt?
It's funny that you should ask that. Head over to manhourradio.com. You can pick up the shirt up. $15.